Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to day 2 of our SOL review. Today we are going to be looking at solving and evaluating expressions, equations, and inequalities. And so there's a lot to cover in this session, and so I won't be able to go into everything in depth, but this will be a good refresher. So let's go ahead and jump in. First, we're going to talk about evaluating and simplifying expressions. Okay, so we're going to talk about using the distributive property and combining like terms. And so just to remind you, let's start with combining like terms. For two terms to be alike, they must have the same variable and the same exponent. So when we are combining the like terms, we are just looking for which of my terms have the same letter. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I like to, circle each of my like terms. And if there was another set, so maybe there was numbers, I would put boxes around those to keep those separate, to say that these are alike and then the numbers are alike. There's only one number, one constant, there's no other like it. So these are my like terms. Remember, I put a circle around the operation in front of it because that's what I need to do with that term. So I have 7x, then plus 4x, and then plus a 2x. And so I'm going to combine those, and I just combine them by simply adding 7x plus 4x plus 2x. That'll give me 13x, and then I'm just going to bring down my minus 9. All right? And so that's for this next one. So that is combining like terms. Now for the distributive property. The distributive property, whenever I have a number outside of the parentheses, I am going to, remember, I have to multiply by both numbers on the inside, okay? So the most common mistake is people forget to multiply it by both, and maybe they just multiply it by one. Please remember not to make that mistake. And so we have 5 times 2x, and so that will give me 10x. And then we have 5 times a negative 3, and that will give me negative 15. All right. Now, here I can simplify this further by looking to combine like terms. 10x and negative 15x, those are not like terms because the 15 doesn't have an x. So remember, right, you cannot put those together. Again, that is a common mistake. People will just kind of add those two and end up with negative 5x, but that does not work because the negative 15 does not have an x. All right, moving on. So that is combining like terms. That is the distributive property. Now we're going to do both of them in one problem. All right, so now we're doing distributive and combining like terms. All right, so we have this 5 on the outside, and we need to distribute it by multiplying the 5 by both of the numbers on the inside. And so 5 times 2/5. Now, if you don't know what that is, again, just enter this into decimals. For the sake of time, I'm not going to do that one here. But 5 times 2/5 is just going to give me 2x. And then 5 times negative 3 is going to give me negative 15. And then I'm just going to bring everything down, okay? And so now I have 2x minus 15 plus 6, okay? And so now I'm going to combine my like terms. My like terms is this negative 15 and this this positive 6. And when I combine them, I'm going to end up with 2x minus 9. So negative 15 plus 9. Again, if you don't know that, you can enter that into your calculator, but negative 15 plus 9 gives me, plus 6 gives me negative 9. All right, okay, and here is the last one that we're gonna do in this section, okay? So here you have two terms in parentheses, and then there's a minus in between. Guys, the key here is to remember that there is an imaginary 1 right there, okay? And so you will likely see a problem like this where you need to distribute this 1. There's an imaginary 1. Really, it's in front of both of them, But when I, if I distribute this one, then it's still just going to give me, 1x minus 3. That doesn't change anything. But when I distribute a negative 1, distribute this negative 1, now it's going to change the sign of these numbers. So I'm taking this negative 1 and I'm multiplying it by 4, and I'm taking negative 1 and I'm multiplying it by negative x. So negative 1 times 4, okay, is going to give me negative 4. And then negative 1 times negative x is going to give me a positive x. Okay, so when that negative sign is outside of the parentheses, it really changes the sign of both of those. So this is negative 4 now, and now this is positive x. And so once I get here, now I'm going to, again, combine the like terms. The x's are alike, and then the numbers are alike, okay? So I'm going to put all the x's together, put all the numbers, the constants together. So x plus x is going to give me 2x, and then negative 3 and a negative 4 is going to give me negative 7. All right? So that is our simplified term expression. All right, and so in this last one, just wanted to throw these in here really quickly because this is where it goes. But for this one, this is a different type. Here you have an expression, you have these, and you are given what the variables equal. And so when I have a question like this, right, and I have to evaluate the expression, okay, really I want you to just know that you have Desmos as a tool that can simply evaluate this expression for you. So when you know what the variables equal, okay, so really what you would do is you would put in 2 for A, and then put in 3 for B, okay, and then you do the order of operations, GEMDAS or PEMDAS, and then you would solve that. But another way that you can do this, and again I do want to show you this because knowing how to do this is important for your test, is that you can just tell Desmos what each of the expression or what each of the variables equal, and then enter the expression and you will get the answer. Okay, so again, it told me that A equals 2, and then B equals 3. Make this smaller so you can see all of this. Okay, and then so I enter those, and remember I have to enter one variable on one line and then another variable on the other line, right? And then I'm going to just enter the expression itself. So it was A to the second power, then it was a B plus, and I'm entering it just the way I see it on the paper, okay? And so when I do that, it gives me that it is 39, okay? So again, you just got to make sure that you put on each line, you put one letter, what is equal to, another letter, what is equal to, and then just write the expression exactly as you see it. And then it will give you the answer, which is 39 there, okay? So this expression, when I evaluate it, it equals 39, okay? So again, I could prove to you that that is also 39, but for the sake of time, I'm gonna keep moving, all right? All right, so that is simplifying expressions using combining like terms and the distributive property. Now we're going to get into equations and inequalities, okay? And so solving equations and inequalities, you do so by using the inverse operation is really how you solve it. And so we're gonna see that. All right. So in this first one, we have an equation. It says 3x minus 7 equals 8. All right. So to solve an equation, you do the inverse operation. All right. So I'm trying to get the x's by itself. So I'm gonna, instead of doing minus 7, I'm gonna add 7, okay? When I do that, the 7s are gonna cancel, okay? And that is gonna give me just 3x equals 15. Okay, so that was step one. All right, now I'm just gonna copy this again. Okay, and step two is again, now I just gotta repeat it to the until the x is all by itself. So I'm doing the inverse operation, getting getting the x by itself. So this is 3 times x. So I have to do the inverse, which is divide by 3 instead of times. Divide by 3 on both sides. The 3's can't. 3 divided by 3 is 1, which cancels. It's just going to give me 1x. So I just have x equals 5. Okay, and that is my answer there. Okay. All right. Now let's do the same type of a problem. This time it just has an inequality symbol. So we're going to do exactly the same thing. Do the inverse operation until the x is by itself. Okay, so this time it's a minus 7. So I am going to plus the 7. Plus the 7. The 7's are going to cancel, leaving me with 5x is greater than 23 plus 7 is 30. Okay. So that was step one. Okay, I'm just going to rewrite this for step. Okay. Okay. All right. So now to get rid of the 5, again, I'm going to do the inverse operation, which is to divide by 5 here. Divide by 5. The 5's cancel, leaving me with x is greater than 6. Okay. Now, real quick, what a note that you need, and this note is for when you are doing, when you are solving inequalities. Okay, remember when you divide by a negative, when you're doing this, so say this was a negative 5, when you divide by a negative, you must flip the sign or the inequality symbol. Okay, so you got to flip the sign. So if, again, in this case, if I divide it by a negative 5 here, then it goes from greater than to less than. Okay, that's what happens when you divide by a negative number. So this is super important for you to remember. All right, when you have inequalities and you divide by negative, make sure you flip the sign. And there will be one example that we go through here in just a minute. All right, so that is how you solve them. Guys, we got a couple more that we're going to do together. The one thing I will say is, though, that's the steps, and so that's what we're going to be practicing. That is all you need to know. You might have some questions that have like some fractions, but guys, you're going to treat it all the same, okay? And so what we're about to do for the remainder of this review is simply all of those things that we just did, kind of combined in a couple problems. So we got, we're going to do distributive property, combine like terms, and solve all in one. So again, this is multi-step equation. So there are some steps, but the steps are the same. Again, is distributive properties, combining like terms. It is, using the inverse operation to solve. All right. So now let's look at some multi-step. Again, these multi-step are just all of those steps that we just did. Okay. So in this one, we are going to remove all the parentheses by using the distributive property, which is what we've done. Okay. Remember, got to distribute, multiply by both of the numbers on the inside. So 4 times x, and then 4 times negative 3. So that is going to give me 4x minus 3 plus 2x equals 36 minus 2x. Okay, so that was step one. All right. Step two is now to combine the like terms. Okay, combine the like terms on each side. Okay, so I can only combine the like terms that are on the side. Okay, so here I'm going to combine the 4x and the plus 2x. Then I'm going to look on the other side. Okay, 36 and negative 2x. There's no like terms there. Okay, because the 36 doesn't have an x with it. So I'm going to combine these like terms. 4x plus 2x is going to give me 6x minus 3 equals 36 minus 2x. Again, and I have to stop here because, even though there's x's over here, they're on different sides of the equal sign. So again, I cannot combine these. Again, I got to combine what's on the same side, okay? On the same side of the equation. So make sure you remember to do that, okay? Okay, now we got to, we're gonna move the x's to one side and the numbers to the other, okay? So 6x minus 3 equals 36 minus 2x. Okay, and I'm moving my x's to one side and I'm moving my numbers to the other side. Okay, so when you move the x's, you can really move them to any side. But the best thing to do that I would recommend is moving the x's so to the side that has more x's. Okay, so that way you just won't have to deal with negative numbers. That's the way I like to do it, but you can do it by moving it either way. Okay, so because there's 6 x's is more than -2, I'm gonna move the -2 to the other side. So this is gonna be plus 2x plus 2x, okay? The x's are gonna cancel. Now I got 8x minus 3 equals 36, okay? And now I'm gonna move the numbers to the other side. So inverse operation, instead of minus 3, it's gonna be plus 3, okay? The 3's are gonna cancel, and now I am left with 8x equals 39, okay? Oh, hold on, there's a mistake somewhere. Oh my goodness. All right, forgot to distribute. This should have been 12. Oh, I'm so sorry. -12, this should have been -12. Okay, and then this should also have been a -12. Then I am -12, so plus 12, plus 12, and this gives me 48. I am sorry about that. See, really easy to make that mistake. I was supposed to distribute that 4 to both of them, and I forgot to do that. So I put -3, that should have been -12. Again, a -12. So that was, make sure you make that correction to your paper, all right? So once I get here, I'm gonna divide this by 8 to get the x by itself, and then it is x equals 48 divided by 8. It is 6 is my answer. X equals 6 is my answer there. All right. Now we, real quick, I'm gonna do one more. Then I'm gonna let you try to do a couple on your own, and then we'll wrap up this video. So same thing here, okay? We do have a fraction. I'm gonna treat this fraction just as if it was a whole number, okay? So I'm gonna get the x's by, get the w's on one side, the numbers on one side. See, are there any like terms to combine? There's none, so now I'm gonna move it. So this is gonna be plus 1/2 w plus 1/2 w. That's gonna cancel, and now I have -24 equals 2.5. So this is 2.5 w plus 6. You could do 2.5 w, all right? However you want to think about it. Again, I probably would change it to a decimal and make it 2.5 instead of having that mixed number. But you can leave it that way if you'd like, all right? Now I'm gonna -6 on this side, -6 on this side. The 6's will cancel, and that leaves me with -30 equals 2.5 w, okay? So again, this is 2.5 or 2.5, and then to get the w by itself, I am just gonna divide by 2.5 or divide by 2.5, either way, okay? That is gonna cancel, leaving me with w equals -30 divided by 2.5. Again, you put that into decimals and you will end up with 12. That is your answer, all right? Okay. All right, friends. So we have gotten to a section where I'm asking you to do, guys. These are a little, again, they're not the easiest, right? They're multi-step. So you certainly want to encourage you to use the steps that you have been shown, okay? And then you are going to attempt to do these next two on your own, okay? I'm not going to do them here in this video. And the last thing I want to do, so you go back and do those. I'm going to go ahead and do this real quick. This is an inequality. Wanted to add these to your notes. That way you at least have seen this. So -3 times n is going to be -3n. -3 times -4 is going to be a +12, and that's 0. Move the 12 over here. That cancels. -3n is less than -12. Divide by -3. Divide by -3. Now, again, when I have an inequality divide by negative, I have to flip the sign. So the sign is going to be n is greater than -12 divided by -3 is a +4. Okay, and so this says n is greater than 4. So I'm going to go to the 4, put an open circle because it's not equal to, and then I'm going to shade this side of my number line. And possible solutions is anything greater than 4. So it could be 5, it could be 6, it could be 7, and so on and so forth. All right. So look, I know I just gave you that real quick at the end, but you know, we talked about solving inequalities. We just hadn't talked about graphing them, and so that was the whole purpose of this last part at the end, was just to show you how to graph it. All right. Again, just when the variable's in front, you just look. You know, you just got to know what these symbols are, right? If it's, you know, if it makes an L, that's less than. If it's the other way, it's greater than. Yeah, you use the number line to just display the data, all right? So, hey, in this video, we have reviewed how to simplify, you know, expressions, evaluate them, using distributive property, combining like terms, as well as solving, multi-step equations. So, hope that's helpful. Happy study.